Let's move on then. We're going to get right to the first part of the agenda. Candace Watson is sitting next to me. She's a program analyst in the Albany region. And she's going to do the roll call, adoption of minutes. Margaret Evans. Maggie, please. Maggie Evans, I am here. Tom Baker.
Here.
I sit here so you can hear? Yeah. Okay.
Eva Hackett. Eva?
Here.
Yeah, I'm here. We're still having a hard time hearing you, but I'm here.
Okay. Michael Morton.
Here.
Carlton Mitchell.
Yeah.
Carlton Mitchell. Suzanne Lynn.
Here.
Chow K.O.
Here.
Maurice Reed.
Here.
Irma Rodriguez. Miguel Santos.
Here.
Dr. Peter Fitz-Randolph. Belinda Ruman. Mynita Holly Atkinson. Roger Spurback. Dennis Wilson.
Present.
Dan Pearson.
Here.
Stuart Mitchell. I'm sorry, Velma Smith.
Here.
Les Blues. And then next, Velma actually with, so we're going to do the adoption of the questions. Velma, you're up next. I'm sorry, it's the acting chairperson for the election of the officers.
All right. Let me just tell you, we have been very weak in it. We have one nomination, and Dan was nominated as. I know before. It's a secret. I can't tell you who did it. I'm sure you're just secrecy. But apparently they feel that.
Well, the national, and it's whatever that organization is, have a cell phone number.
Yeah. They got run out.
That's how NSA. That's how I found out.
So, I didn't know whether you are accepting.
We'll take nominations.
We can.
Blue or black, sure.
Is there any nominations from the floor?
Chairperson?
So, I think that makes life really easy.
I don't know if they heard it.
Did you guys hear that? Are there any nominations from the floor for chair? Right now we have Dan Manskin, who has been nominated. He's accepted. And we're looking to see whether there's any more nominations from the floor.
No.
None? Being there none? Being there none, maybe we can make this really simple. Maybe we could just make a nomination that, since there are no other nominations from the floor, that Dan he's a
list of the members with
that if there's no objections to that, could we all make a motion that accept Dan as the new chair for the CSBG Advisory Council? And so if I could get a...
Should I ask?
Motion.
Somebody might come forward yet?
Was there somebody else?
No, hi, it's Eva Hassett in Buffalo. I'm brand new and I haven't received any orientation or anything, so please forgive me. But is there a way to get a list of the members of the council with a bio? Dan seems like a nice guy, but I have no idea what he does or anything like that.
Orientation package went out to her last week. So
she sent an orientation package, should have went out to you last week.
I have a big package of things, but it doesn't really include a list of who's on the council or anything about them. And
And
I'd love
Dan's
to
not
know
a
more
nice
about it.
guy either.
No,
Oh,
Dan.
see, I told you.
That was also.
Well, clearly I need more orientation.
Get her
I would love
oriented. Let's finish this vote here. Get him on.
Dean
Okay.
can say something about himself.
Yeah, you can say it.
So Dan, why don't you give just a little history? He's been around about 150 years. I can bow to that.
I'm the CEO of Opportunities for Otsego in Otsego County. I've been there going on 8 years. Before that, I was the director of the New York State Community Action Association. Before that, I was a program director of the agency that I'm directing now. And before that, I don't even remember.
So he grew
Well,
up in community action. How's
That's
that?
terrific. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dan. And it's awkward for me to ask for that. But if anybody could circulate a list just with a little bio or something, even a title, would be terrific for me.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo would like that as a whole.
Well, I'm sure Dan, as the new chair, would be happy to get that right underway.
Thank you.
Welcome. So we have a nomination on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
I have a second.
Maggie.
Maggie? All in favor? Anybody who's disagreed? Sounds like we got a new chair. Congratulations, Dan. You sure you
Thank
haven't
you.
been chair before? You've been everything.
Not here. This is a first.
The other thing too is that when I sent out emails, a lot of those emails got bounced back. So could you make sure that the state have your correct email addresses? So maybe then, maybe it's something that we could get done because I had at least 2 or 3 that bounced back. So that means that their email's not working. So they don't even know what's going on. So that might be something.
Velma, I had a question. Since Dan is the second vice chair, would we need him to take care of filling his position that we can do right now?
Who made that vacancy?
I'd gladly go back.
Now that Dan, we have to do a second nomination. Because Dan took the role as the chair, he was the second vice chair. So we have to fill that void as well. So is there any nominations from the floor for a second vice chair? Now y'all have to all raise your hand at the same time. Mike, are you out there?
Yeah, I just have a question though. I'm not nominating. Who is the vice chair?
Dennis Wilson.
Dennis is still? Okay.
From what area geographically?
Fulton, Montgomery counties.
Did you hear that? He's in Fulton and Montgomery counties.
Thank you.
He's been around as long as Dan. Longer. Wow. But they're young men. They're only like in their early 30s. I want to nominate Mike. Mike, are you there? Michael? Is that Mike?
I don't know if I want to answer now.
That means you are there. So I want to nominate Michael for second vice chair.
Good to have something from the western area of the state.
Yeah.
Second, you're not even main vice chair.
So as long as nothing happens to Dennis, right? Or Dan.
And even if it does, there's nothing to do really. Don't worry about it.
Or me.
Yeah, there's not a big job.
It's a mass conspiracy.
I'm just reading the duties. Feel free to keep accepting nominations from the floor. At the-
The competition is real steep here, Mike.
You get in the state retirement pool too.
Is there any other nominations where Mike
There's no
sweats?
others. I'll make a motion for Mike. I don't even know him. You gonna take it, Mike?
I only hesitate because I'm trying to be mindful of my commitments, but I think with Dan and Dennis leading the way, I can serve in a catastrophic scenario of them both not being there to facilitate
Excellent.
the agenda if necessary, I suppose.
Okay.
Then I have a motion on the floor from Dennis that I need a second.
Second. Okay.
Who was that?
Miguel Santos.
All right, we got a second? Are there anybody who disagree with any of that good stuff? Everybody in favor?
Aye.
So we got a new vice chair, second vice chair. Thank you, Michael.
Second vice chair. Thank
That's
you.
almost after everybody else is gone, we'll come find you.
In order for me to learn really what we do.
All right.
We're good. Motion to adjourn. There's no-
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second. We're now adjourned.
Now I take it. Welcome, everybody.
That was it?
No, that's-
Oh.
that's the actual-
Oh, I was so
There's 2 agendas in your packet.
So you just turned the mic off? What did you just
So
do?
Mike, well, I was just putting it on mute, so
Oh, God.
I could put it.
Aggie Evans, here. Thank you. David Baker.
Here.
Eva Hassett. Eva.
For the second meeting.
Eva Hassett.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Yes, I'm here. What? Here.
Michael Martin.
Here.
Carlton Mitchell.
Here.
Suzanne Lynn.
Here.
K.O.
Here.
Maurice Reed.
Here.
Irma Rodriguez. Miguel Santos.
Here.
Dr. Peter Fritz Randolph. Newman. Mynita Holly Atkinson. Andrew Spurback. Dennis Wilson.
Present.
Dan Maskin.
Here.
Velma Smith.
Here.
Yves Valouz. Peter.
Ready to go? Okay, opening comments from Chairperson. I'm actually, in a way, honored to be here. I don't have a lot to say since I didn't really know this was coming. But we all know that we're many challenges, the action, and a lot of work to do. So that we get to the work and turn it over to the director.
Okay, what we're gonna do is just give a quick review of some things that are going on in the division and some of items that we're working on, and also take an opportunity to introduce you to our new O&A manager who's here with us today, and just do a couple of the first thing we want to do is talk about board responsibility. And
Veronica,
yes.
could you move the microphone closer to you? We're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay.
That's not it.
That's not going to do it for us. Can you hear me now?
It's better.
It's better. Okay. Is that the mic?
How's that?
Much better.
Okay. And how's that?
Much better.
Much better.
Wonderful. Then the first item that we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to go through a list of a laundry list today, which includes introducing an introduction to the O&A, our new O&A manager who's stationed down in the city. A couple of updates on funding opportunities for our CSBG entitled entities, and also some housekeeping of some of the issues that have come up within the division in the past few months. So the first thing I'm going to touch on is on board responsibility. What's come up is, at what point do we begin to communicate with board of directors? Should board of directors be notified or be given copies of the GSCRs as they come out from the contact review? Should board members be invited to on-site visits? And so these are some of the issues that have come up in the last few months, and one of the things we wanted to do was first remind everyone that board members do play a very important role, and because of the role and the risk that they ensue in being part of the membership of an organization, we're looking at within the division at different junctures in which we communicate with boards, not just waiting for example, a core review, but to also give the benefit of the board chair information as it comes through or as we review our CSBG funded entities. So that's just a quick review and a quick update of some of the discussion that's been going on. And you may hear the analysts talk a little bit about this on the site review, so you'll have some background on that. The other quick item is that we have some retirements that have happened. If everyone doesn't know by now, Linda Sweeney and her team in New York City retired in May. They left May 31st was their last day. May 30th was their last day with us. We miss them very much and wish them well, but they are looking forward. They were very excited. We couldn't figure out why, but they were very excited to be moving on to a new journey. They had all kinds of ambitions. I think Kathy's in South Africa right now. And Linda is, of course, on her way to many different ventures, as Frances is as well. So we wanted to let you know that that did indeed occur. So if you should wonder where they are or why you haven't seen them, that. We also have a quick review by Alan on the updates of the standards.
Just very quickly, most folks in the network are aware that there's been a lot of review going on and development of new standards that will be presented to HHS within the next 2 weeks. Community Partnership has been very involved in that process and helping lead that charge. There are significant meetings happening tomorrow and Friday, which will be the last review prior to the actual submission next 2 weeks to HHS. So I would encourage everyone to go online and take a look at those. I know most of you are already aware of it, but you should. There still is some opportunity to comment if there is a need to do that. So I would review that. And the other thing to be aware of as well is NASCAP has been leading the National Association for State Community Service Programs, has been responsible for leading the charge with the development of Roma, the next generation. And they just issued a white paper, a draft of a white paper, just yesterday, I believe it is, and it is posted on NASCAP's website. So you're welcome to review that. There will be listening sessions so that people can learn more about that through those sessions that will be taking place.
Have the standards been there's some discussion about
the
that.
Standards?
Yeah.
I do.
There was supposed to some discussion about the field testing for October 1st.
Yeah, I don't think that's happened. Okay, that's a brief summary of what's happening there. I encourage you to go on the websites and actually review those upcoming proposals. The risk assessments was the next item. Veronica already touched upon part of that with regard to boards being alerted to what is happening in agencies, and we will be issuing, where there is any concern with an organization, we will be communicating that information not only to the management of the agency but to the board so that they are on the same page with what's happening in an organization. So you'll hear more about that. Okay.
Tim, you want to talk about sequestration?
Okay, sequestration, as I think everyone's aware of, it was in effect on March 1st of this year, affected many of our social programs, Head Start, Social Services Block Grant, including our program. CSBG in this state took almost a 6.3% hit. It's like 6.2 in decimals, which amounted to $3.6 billion. The entitlements, the Indian tribes, and admin were cut in this year's program. It did not affect O&A or discretionaries this year, but for 14, the impact will be felt at that point because we deal with the second year of funding for the discretionaries and the Indian and the O&A. So we're going to take out the first year. So next year will be the effect of the sequestration on the program.
Yep.
Contract amendments, packages went out on June 7th. They're due back on Friday the 21st. There are 4 purposes for the amendment. One was a reduction of the funding due to sequestration, the almost 6.3% cut. Second was to incorporate all the carryovers that everyone had for 2012. Third was to give additional time to spend the money to March of next year because we are in the final year of a multi-year contract. The Comptroller's Office will not allow us to have any carryover or anything else, and we have to spend that money by the end of the contract. So consequently, that's why we have a contract term that goes to March of next year. And we had several appendices that were changed. The A1 from OGS, which is December 2012. We have, A1, which is also Iran Divestiture Act, as well as MWBE, and then also Appendix C to impact the extension of the contract. So those have to be acknowledged as part of our contract amendment reductions. And those are starting to be due this year, and there have been a few extensions, granted on a case-by-case basis. Good with that?
Keep going.
All right, consolidated funding process. That went out on Monday morning at 8 o'clock.
Did everyone receive that information on the new consolidated funded application? Yeah? Dennis? No? I don't remember seeing that either. Okay, this is pretty exciting, and we want to make sure that the CA, the entitlement agencies know about this funding opportunity. And
I did see it. Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay, good.
How would we have seen that?
It may not. We sent it to entitlements. We could send that email forward to all the boards.
So she's not talking to us.
It's the Governor's Regional Council Initiative. It's affecting all 10 of the regions that they have set up. There's over $750 million available in this round of funding, which is the third round. RFAs were open on Monday morning, 8 o'clock. There are workshops in place up until July 23rd. You go on the Governor's website, the Regional Council website, and you can see the dates on that. They started yesterday in Brooklyn. They go right to July 23rd. Sign up for those workshops are on that website also. DCS, we have up to $750,000 available for workforce development. You can find our program, the workforce development, under 2 areas. That's your choice. Direct assistance to business and other organizations, or education/workforce development. Either one of those, and you'll find Department of State workforce development. The application, and you complete the application on the Regional Council website. Further information is on the DOS website, the RFA, and a couple other links to Logic Model as well as MWBE requirements. Applications are due back by August 12th at 4 p.m. The Governor's Office is going to shut the site down at that point. And on the site you can sign up and take care of everything you need to do. There are going to be 4 types of questions involved on here. First is a threshold question, which will eliminate you from other funding or not and get you right in the right box of funding that you're eligible for. There'll be basic questions: who, what, when, where, why. They include in there longitude and latitude so they can pinpoint where everybody is, those kind of things. Standard questions will be questions pertaining just to this program, workforce development. There's about 4 of those. And then there's 2 attachment questions, both the Logic Model as well as the MWBE. So there's 4 types of questions affected when you come into our program. And that's it. Any questions on the consolidated funding? And we will get out the email to all the advisory council at this point. Okay?
Okay. And then if you have any questions moving forward, Tim is available to answer any questions. And, once again, I would encourage you to go right on the website. There are two points left on the agenda, and Patty is going to talk about both. One is the BIA training and a funding initiative for those agencies that have housing options available to them. So this is Hattie, and she's our new O&A manager down in the city.
Hi. So the first opportunity that I wanted to share with you is a training that is going to be happening in July here in Albany, sponsored by the New York Immigration Coalition in collaboration with ONA. And this is a 40-hour immigration law training for agencies who are interested in BIA recognition or agencies that have BIA recognition and possibly have individuals that they would like to send to get accreditation. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about that. If you want to know more information about it, the registration deadline is July 3rd, and I guess the training is going to go from July through July 12th.
The registration deadline is coming up pretty quick. The BIA training, I want to encourage agencies to consider them. First of all, because it's a very expensive training, but it's free. It's free, available to our CSBG-funded entities at no cost. You do not have to be a lawyer to attend this training. What you do is you identify a staff person who will then go through this process and be certified to process applications and also to represent, is my understanding.
Yes.
This is also, you don't have to be just an immigration agency to do it. It's an area of expertise that would allow then the agency, for example, when I think of Fulton Montgomery, an agency that's situated in an area with a high foreign-born population, you would be able then to provide many of the same services that people would have to go elsewhere to find, or would normally under normal circumstances not have the money to afford. You are allowed to charge a fee for your services. Of course, you would want to charge the limits of your mission guideline, but it is an opportunity for those agencies that are interested in providing these types of services, and normally it's a very difficult training to get. But it would be available to you for free in addition to the assistance that you would need in terms of for applying for BIA accreditation for the agency.
Veronica, what were the dates again? We couldn't hear.
Oh, so the dates are, the registration deadline is July 3rd, but the dates are going to be July 8th through July 12th in Albany.
And what Hattie can do is she'll send out an email to our listserv, confirming the dates and the link for the registration.
Yeah, I'll definitely send the email out, but if you absolutely can't wait and you want to do it in the next half hour or so, you can also go to the New York Immigration Coalition website, which is www.thenyic.org, and they will also have the information there too.
Can you repeat that, please?
All right, so it's www.the and then NYIC.org.
Thank you.
And it's the New York Immigration Coalition. So the other funding opportunity that I wanted to bring everybody's attention to is from the Office of Refugee Resettlement at HHS. They've released an RFP, and they're expecting to award about 60 awards nationally to organizations that are licensed residential care shelter providers to provide temporary shelter care and other related services to unaccompanied alien children who are within the Office of Refugee Resettlement custody. The idea is that the youth will live on the campus to get special targeted services and stay there for an average of 30 to 35 days. And there's information about that on the HHS website. The application is due back to them on July 26th. And the idea is that the estimated start date would be October 1st for anybody who would be interested. And like I said before, this would be for people who already have a state licensed residential facility.
Any questions?
This is Michael. I had a question going back to, if we're done with the full report, back to the sequestration. Did I hear Tim right that the Indian tribes absorb the cut received through sequestration?
Yes, they're also part of the cut. They were reduced about $6,000. Went from $97,000 each to about $91,400.
Oh, okay. I thought they got wiped out.
No.
No.
So just reduced. Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carly, you're up.
Let's see. Report. Thank you. I'm with the New York State Community Action Association. We've been quite busy. I'm reporting on the time frame October 1st to March 31st. I'll give a little bit of update of a couple of items that have happened since then. We've been pretty busy. As I mentioned in the report, we, in that time frame, have done 6 Roma trainings for 110 staff at 6 agencies, and they have been really interesting and sort of active trainings with a lot of participation and some good stuff coming out. Have continued to provide some training and technical assistance around governance and program and administration issues during that time period to 3 agencies. One of the things that we're really excited about is we did start during our new contract year, which began in January, to convene regional meetings. We have sort of created, somewhat informal, New York NISCA regions. We tried to sort of mirror the Department of State's regions, although we don't have as many, so we have 6, which we're trying to sort of reconcile with the DOS Regional Economic Development Councils. And our hope in convening the regional meetings was that we would make NISCA's training and educational activities more accessible to staff who might be able to come to a regional forum as opposed to having to travel all the way across the state to the statewide forums or otherwise being unable to access the programming. So that was one of our hopes, was that we would open up the sort of services that we offer to a larger pool of community action agency staff, and also to create sort of a regional opportunity for folks to talk about things that are happening in their communities, in their regions. We have so far held 3 meetings with a total of 39 people from 28 different agencies. So we've been really pleased with the participation. Each meeting was sort of, as we intended, very unique in terms of the issues that were addressed and the things that we were talking about. And we talked about everything from Head Start recompetition that was hot during the sort of first regional meetings, talking about the standards. At one of the regional meetings, actually, we did a formal training on poverty. So we were really sort of excited that the folks who participated were really pleased, thought it was a good opportunity. So as I say, we've been in the Finger Lakes Central region, the Hudson Valley region, and Capital region. We're in the process of scheduling the last 3 for the remainder of this fiscal year. And again, have had some really positive response, so we're really pleased with how those things have been going. We did convene our 7th annual symposium on poverty and economic security in March. We had just under 200 people attend, 188 I think is what we ended up with, and we were very happy about that. That was a really good attendance. We were real pleased. We had some great speakers, keynotes by Gene Nichols from the North Carolina Center on Poverty, Work, and Opportunity, a really interesting keynote by Prudence Pease on Bridges Out of Poverty, and some really good workshops and presentations. So we felt that was a good and successful forum. We produced for publication at the Poverty Symposium our 6th annual New York State Poverty Report, which I believe most folks have gotten. If you haven't, I did make one available, but I brought another one if somebody wants it. It is also up on our website, and we made a few changes to it this year, so I think it is chock full of some good information, poverty information on New York State. So again, if you're interested, you can access it on our website or contact me if you want a hard copy. We have continued our board training. We have been working with a couple of agencies, particularly around sort of responses or in anticipation of their core reviews. We had a little bit of a bumpy road here for a few months with our IT services because our IT person resigned, and we found that was a difficult position to fill. We have somebody who has started, and we think that we're on the right track now. So we were able to keep sort of some of the things going in the interim, but not up to the sort of full capacity. But we think we are back up and running now, so we should not have any trouble moving forward on that. Continuing our newsletters, our needs assessment tool, which we continue to maintain and provide training on. Let's see, a couple of other things. We did convene over last year through the summer and into the fall a committee to explore options for the purchase of a statewide database, and we did submit that report to DOS in November. And while some significant activities, as I say, happened after the end of this time frame. In particular, I did want to mention that we hosted and convened our first Region 2 conference. We are, at NISCA, the lead agency for a federal regional performance and innovation consortium project. And as the lead agency, we coordinate the training and technical assistance activities of Federal Region 2, which is New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. It has been a really exciting project because we have, for the first time, really created a regional identity. We really did not do a lot of working together with the states and territories in our region. Other regions around the country have had a more regional identity, like there's a New England sort of region that has an identity and they've sort of done work together, but we've not done that. So it's been a really great opportunity to sort of, share information and resources across the region. We do feel like we really have created a regional identity and that we've all benefited from it. So our conference was sort of the first region conference that we've held, as far as we know, in a very long time. It was originally actually scheduled for last October, right the weekend that Hurricane Sandy hit. So we in New Jersey. So we canceled that and rescheduled it for April. What we did was then we combined it with our annual Finance and Human Resource Conference. So it was a finance, human resource, and sort of management tracks. And it ended up, we had a really good participation. We had some super speakers. We got really good reviews. And again, are really excited about sort of the opportunities to build on the relationships that have sort of developed through the Region 2 project. And that conference being one of them, which, as I say, I think was a really good event. We will plan, in fact, we're just finishing submitting our continuation funding through RPIC, and we're hoping to do another regional conference in 2014 somewhere in central New York. So hopefully we'll be able to get some folks who weren't able to go to the MAWA, the New Jersey program, to be able to come to the program in central New York. And again, we're looking at that in 2014. We also did just last week hold our June Professional Development Conference in Western New York in Ellicottville, which again was, I think, a successful conference. We had some really good folks there. A couple of things that I did want to share that we presented at the conference, and I'll leave some for folks who will have them, is for the first time, we produced a special sort of orientation packet and program for new executive directors. It so happened that we had, within the last 18 months, 4 or 5 new EDs come on. So we developed a new ED packet, which includes information on NISCA and the network and DOS and contact information on NISCA services. And something that we're really excited about, which was another project that we undertook, which is a matrix of community action services available in New York State. So many community action agencies, thank you all, responded to our survey requests and bothering and pestering you. But what we're able to do is we're able to create, for the first time, a document that tells us what's happening in New York State. Clearly, there's still, as we've been sort of, looking at it and sharing it with folks, there's some refining that we'll want to do, some updating that we'll want to do, but it does at least allow a possibility to say, whether you're interested in, who's doing child care services or what's happening in, Chemung County, you can find that information here. Again, we've found already, as these things go, a few mistakes, some things that we need to do. We've asked our programs to take a look at it, see if there's anything that we, missed or that we should change. We're actually hoping that we can expand on this next year to have an updated one of these, but then also to add a directory of services that would give you a little more information on really what's available in each county. Because what we found out was people would ask those questions and we didn't know the answer. Can you tell me how many programs are doing thus and such? Or can you tell me what, your services in Wyoming County are? And we would go call Pat, go ask somebody. But now we can at least give people a quick answer. So we're really excited about that. And again, made that available. And I will leave you one of those. And we also did produce an annual report, which is sort of a typical annual report for NISCA with information on what we did the last year, some financial breakdown information. Again, we also included in that the matrix. So though they happened, again, just at the June conference, we're so excited. I wanted to share them, let you all see what we've been doing, and we're sort of really pleased with the sort of initial take of trying to put those things together.
That's it?
That's it.
Any questions or comments for Paula?
Yes, Miguel Santos in Buffalo.
Sure, get some of that.
We sure can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In the beginning, you had mentioned something about a report that is available, either hard copy or online, talking about poverty and the different communities. May I have a hard copy of that?
Sure. I just need to know who you are, and we can do that.
Sure. Miguel Santos.
Okay. Okay.
Should I give you my address now?
Sure.
Yeah, when they send it to the members of the council. Could you send it to all the members of the council?
Can I send? I'll have to see if I have enough hard copies. I will send.
Send a link.
Send the
Okay.
link.
Yes, I can definitely
send something.
Yeah, we have the link to the website, so I can definitely do that. Okay.
Is that okay with you?
As long as the link is easy to manage. I think I would still like a hard copy. I'm at 144 Kensington Avenue,
All right.
Buffalo, New York, 14214.
14214. Okay, super.
Thank you.
And I'll send the link to the whole council.
Okay. Anything else for Carla? Thank you, Carla.
Sure.
Community Angel Action.
Oh. Well, first, I can't talk as fast as Carla, so I'm going to leave
But
you
do
with
it.
a lot of information when I'm done. But we spend most of our time, as you know, providing training to build capacity, especially through volunteerism and agencies. So when I found out I was coming here, I asked students who are taking part, use our product, who also take part in our projects or our trainings, to send me an update on this year's, for the past 7.5 months, what they've accomplished. So there's 6,000 volunteers. Their in-kind was over $200. They established 156 new partnerships and 171 board members, which is pretty amazing since many of the agencies do not have dedicated staff to deal with volunteers and capacity building. So,
Pat?
yeah?
Could you please move the microphone closer?
Sure.
Yes. And also, the other thing, anybody who's sitting near a microphone and tossing their papers around, it gets real loud over here.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. We held the annual meeting of the Minds May 7th and 8th in Syracuse. We had 66 people attend. Everybody loved it. Because we are involved in capacity building, we were able to get over $15,000 in cash and in-kind donations to support the work at the conference. We presented almost 40 new projects. A few of them are more training ability, ways to build capacity, and others are projects they could take home and use in their own communities. I gave you the Kids Are Key book. That was our last year statewide project where we had sponsors who invested $100 a pop for kids to do projects in their community, develop them, implement them, and then write about them. And I wrote them up in a book, and KeyBank has sponsored the cost of printing all those books. And the project there's also a news article in there from a magazine in the Western New York area, and I also included the speech that was done by 2 8-year-old girls who have taken their project and they're
they've taken it regionally, and now they're going statewide with their project through the Girl Scouts, and they've created a Junior Angels in Action. So they're really cute, their speech. They wrote it themselves. I thought you'd enjoy seeing them. And I'm in conversation with KeyBank, EMS, and Stalka, who want to continue this project. And what we're going to do is engage businesses across New York State to sponsor children to do these projects, and then the stories will be put on websites through the different business arenas, and we'll be able to keep this project going. So many people liked it, and so there were 250 children took part. It was only a $4,200 investment. We had 250 kids take part, and so far they've helped over 4,000 people, and that's very, very low. Before it's done, they'll help way more than that. This year's project is called the Small Heroes Project, and we're working with Public TV up in Watertown, who's creating a video. Our goal is to create a network of information between returning vets, children of returning vets, and deployed vets to community action agencies and the other services in their community. So once the video is created, all the community action agencies who want to participate will receive the video. They can go out into their community, show it to their Rotary, get volunteers to show it. We're hoping to bring in more resources and also create a network of information, because they don't know where to go when they return, and the caretakers of the children really are not comfortable with where to go for services, and they need them. So I received a call from Senator Gallivan, who is really interested in this project, and he wants to also engage other senators across the state to partner with us in this. So we're hoping for a kickoff on the 1st of September with that project. So anybody that wants to take part, they don't have to be with community action. The other projects, we had a cybersecurity project or a class. Anybody can get these on their website, but these would be good for the Corps. You could pass these around. You can see the other project that we did was to help seniors in the home manage their information, because we've had a lot of requests for help with it as well. So if you want hard copies of these, I can send them to you. You can get these off our website, and if you want to do, say, a cybersecurity training at the agency, it will answer the Google review, and you can just go right through it. It's very simple and pretty complete.
This is a program of the
I'm working on the O&A with Hattie. We offered training in Ellicottville, but we didn't get any response. We did have EOC of Nassau at our conference, but since I offered the one in Buffalo, I've been hearing a lot from other centers. So I'm going to be meeting in Albany with Literacy New York and people in the Albany area, and they've been asking for training in Westchester. So we're going to hold a 2-day training in Westchester in September. The other thing they've asked for is training for the immigrants themselves. So I've developed that. That's the Linking the New Americans community and vice versa. And that training involves leadership training for immigrants within their own community, and then as well as some other how to volunteer your way to employment, strategically using volunteer service for training. We were involved again with the disaster and emergency. We were able to give over $25,000 to 7 different agencies, unrestricted dollars that they could use right away, and we had about $75,000 in-kind donations that we were able to send down with trucks and coordinate services through the area. we were fortunate to have NASA sent 4 of their executive staff to our meeting and talked at our dinner about how this type of quick and unrestricted dollars help their Head Start. And we're also sent a check for $5,000 to Oklahoma, to our sister agency there, Becky, who was in Shawnee, which was 17 miles from Moore. And she also had 2 tornadoes hit her town. Any questions?
Yes, Pat. Hi, it's Eva in Buffalo. Can you just repeat, what did you do in Buffalo? I'm brand new, remember, but what did you just do in Buffalo?
Oklahoma.
No. Back further. You talked about something that you held in Buffalo?
Oh, in Syracuse, the meeting of the minds?
No.
I swear you said Buffalo.
You did something Buffalo.
It was the a training at the NISCA conference in the Buffalo area.
Okay.
Ellicottville?
Yes, there was mention of a conference in Ellicottville. Again, I'm brand new, but anytime there's something going on in Buffalo, I think the Buffalo members of the Advisory Council would love to hear about it.
Sure.
I know that already happened, but we'd love to know sort of who's connecting up with you from this area so that we know what's going on. And then the other thing I will say just personally, I represent an organization that works with immigrants and refugees. I know ONA. As you are doing whatever you're doing about training immigrants and refugees, you very much, I think it would help to interface with the agencies in this area or any area who are working with immigrants and refugees, because we already do some of that, and I think that it just helps. It's the same thing as the BIA training. I think that what we need to do is build networks of capacity that where the pieces kind of are aware of the other pieces, and I want to make sure we do that as much as we can. So just a plea to link in. I had no idea. And this is my first meeting. I had no idea what you were doing or how it affected anything in Buffalo or that I am doing.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Tomorrow Thursday I'm meeting with the Dairy Institute in our area and with the office, the Office of New American Center in Rochester, and we're talking about bringing families in from Burma, and we're partnering with Alfred University to train these families, and then Community Action Angels in our area will provide the supportive services for the families and the children when they come in, and then we'll put them to work, because we really need a lot of skilled workers in Wyoming County. So we're going to be working with these centers to bring families in and support them through this here. So,
any other questions or comments for Pat?
Yes, please. Miguel Santos. This capstone information technology, I'm just looking at the a report that's here. I'm not very good with computers, and this is very basic. Is this a training that people can enroll into? Is that what this is?
You can get this PowerPoint off our website, and what we're going to use this for, besides training our staff to be cyber safe, we're going to use it in all our youth programs. We're using it in our employment programs, and we're actually doing it for the general public so that they can come in and we can give this training so they're not scammed, and we have other pieces that go with it. So,
because I would be very interested in taking this training in order to educate myself on the subject matter.
Okay, maybe we could do something like that in the Buffalo office at the Department of State, and bring people in that are interested, staff, and.
I would like that very much.
Great.
And it was mentioned about just following up on Eva's. When it comes for the Burmese, Buffalo is, I believe, the largest Burmese community in the entire country that I'm aware of. So, so that is of great interest for our community here on any training, in particular with such a large. I think we have 6,000 Vermese and Buffalo alone.
Closer to 10, and I'm aware of what you're doing with the Dairy Institute, and I was told they're only going to do it in Rochester for now. So my agency is going to do its own dairy training. We'd love to talk to you about that.
Okay, great.
Sadly, they're not starting in Buffalo.
Well, maybe we
Even
can
though
talk
we
them
have the
into
population.
it.
What?
Maybe we can talk them into it on Thursday.
Yeah, I tried already. I tried with the folks at Warsaw County, the
That's
Dairy
all right.
Institute.
Well, they haven't heard from yet. So.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to the Pathstone Corporation Farm Work Study.
And it's not going to take me as long as Pat, because she had some super information. We were funded by the CSBG grant on the discretionary dollars to do research on the dairy farm and yogurt industry. And I know they targeted the Finger Lakes area. And out of that, coming up with ideas and recommendations basically to enhance the dairy and yogurt industry in New York State. So in the report, which I don't think they've still actually made it go public. So in the report, there are a lot of recommendations, but also the number of workers that have been working in the industry, as well as the potential of jobs for the dairy industry, which would probably work well with this. The idea is, though, is getting people trained, getting them aware, making sure we have enough dairy cows to do all those great things. But a lot of it, I think we see it all as farm workers, but the farm worker piece, I think, is smaller. Immigration plays a huge role in this. You'll see a lot of influence about the immigration. So the idea is in the very end, they made some recommendations, and one of the biggest ones was the immigration piece of it, to make sure that we have people doing the work. Because if when you look at, and what I'll do is, I think once that you guys look at it and approve it to go out to the mass public, you'll see that the migration has went down. So even the migration of Mexican workers coming into this country has got much, it has decreased over the years. So that's also decreasing. But you also have a lot of undocumented Mexican workers on dairy farms, and I think you'll see some of that in the report. The idea is if there's a new immigration policy, those individuals would be able to earn their way towards citizenship and continue doing some of the things that they're doing. But a lot of the jobs that are being created are jobs for people who are already in our economy. I know there's people from Kodak who went to a lot of these jobs, especially out in the Batavia area, doing some of the same things, engineering, doing some of the engineering things. But I was surprised how those industries overlapped. I've known a guy who was at Kodak maybe 20 years, and one of the things is that he do a lot of the mechanical stuff, and so he was picked up by this company, which was great. He's in his late 40s, and we all know it's harder to get a job the older you are, even though we don't discriminate. But the idea is that he was able to get a job through the industry. So I think it's going to create jobs. One of the things they were saying is there's 2,000, they're expecting the industry to create additional 2,000 jobs. There's over 4,500 jobs now that's already been created through the new industry. The New York has 10 companies, and 4 of those companies are in the Finger Lakes area, some of the biggest. So I think the job opportunities are massed for us. So it's great to hear people talking about what we're going to do to actually get those jobs and keep them in New York State. And that's a biggie. So as soon as it's released, we'll make sure that all members get a copy of it. It's a little colorful and a lot of information, but I think the boiled down piece is how do we use it to benefit us and the people we're trying to serve.
Miguel Santos again in Buffalo. My second job, in a sense, is working with the Diocese of Buffalo and working with the migrant population, and we see a huge, like as what was mentioned, we see a huge increase of Mexicans working in our dairy farms, and of course we're familiar here in Western New York of the yogurt industry in Batavia. So when this report becomes public, I'm super interested in reading the contents.
Super. We should also connect because we do employment training for farm workers across the state. So if you're looking for training for farm workers, I have dollars to do
Great.
training.
Okay.
So we definitely need to connect.
Absolutely, because we do a joint venture. The Diocese of Buffalo does a joint venture with the Diocese of Rochester. And so, we already have the populations. We already, we have the people. So that would be ideal. How do we make that connection?
I got your information here, and I'll follow up. We got our nearest office to you is probably Lockport.
That's fine.
But we will connect, definitely.
That's fine, because I'm also working with the Niagara County. I'm working with the migrant populations there on a separate issue. Thank you very much. That would be ideal.
So, hi, it's Eva again. Can I come back on refugees? Just so you know, and Hattie, I've never met you before. The New York State has many agencies funded by the federal government who resettle refugees and also provide employment training for those refugees. There are 4 of those programs running in Buffalo. I know there's one in Albany, there's Rochester, there's Utica, there's Syracuse. Whatever you're doing with refugees, you need to connect up with those agencies, or you will be confusing life and maybe recreating a lot of stuff that's already happening. So most refugees, in Buffalo, there's also an organization that works with secondary migrants who are coming to Buffalo from other places in the country. All told, we touch about 2,000 people a year, and we have lots of programs that relate to employment, leadership development, organizational development. So it would be smarter if we all work together on some of the things that are being talked about today. Again, it's my first meeting, so I apologize for jumping on it. But there's a great wealth and a great capacity, and I can tell you about it in Buffalo. I'm sure it exists in other places too. Don't recreate the wheel, because we will be a lot stronger if we work with the existing federally funded programs that are in these cities.
Maybe we could hook up with NHTSA and doing a regional meeting, look at what all those things are, and see how we can best work together. I'm definitely interested in working with farm workers, job creation, training, so that would be a great opportunity.
And what we're really trying to do is, through Community Action Angels, is to try to provide the supportive services needed.
That's good.
And through our entire network across the state, to start to educate them on the needs of these families and ways for us to develop the resources for them.
So sounds like we got a job to do.
Sounds like a plan.
But I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
When you have these meetings, I'm involved with one of these agencies myself. I provide training to recent immigrants. So please let the board members know so that if we can participate, we'd like to participate in that.
The best way for you to do, there is a New York State Bureau of Refugee and Immigrant Assistance. Hattie, you have to know the folks at BRIA, right? Mm-hmm. So talk to Dodie Wheeler, who can get you the list of every agency that's working with refugees and secondary migrants, so that we make sure that we don't confuse life.
Okay. New York City Division of Youth and Community Development, Neighborhood Development Area Update.
This is
sorry. Go ahead.
This is Suzanne Lynn. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's the New York City Department of Youth and Community Development. We have an upcoming RFP that we intend on releasing sometime this fall, and it's the Neighborhood Development Area RFP. And basically, NDA accounts for about half of all of our program dollars, so it's the single most significant component of our programming. Basically what it is we, because the federal statute requires CSBG dollars to be aimed at people who are living at 125% of the poverty level or below, what we do is identify areas of concentrated poverty throughout New York City, and we call those neighborhood development areas. Every 10 years, when the census data becomes available, we are able to take another look at the population data and make determinations about where the areas of concentrated poverty are. So we were able to use we finally were able to use the 2010 census data to come up with to take another look at where the poverty is concentrated in New York City. I guess not totally surprisingly, there have been only minor shifts in the concentrations of poverty. Most of them remain the same, but there have been some shifts, some areas that have fallen out, because you may have read about how areas of New York City have been gentrifying over the years. Poverty moves around to some degree. So there are a few areas that used to be areas of poverty that are not anymore. But for the most part, I would say 90% of it remains the same. Also, in keeping with the federal statute, we are holding community needs assessment process now as we speak, so that we can determine the areas of funding priority for each one of these NDAs. And we are doing that right now. We have at this point, I think we have disseminated about 8,000 paper surveys throughout the city, and the members of our neighborhood advisory boards, which there's a neighborhood advisory board for each one of our NDAs, and we have 42 NDAs throughout the city, are responsible for going out into the street and disseminating these surveys, collecting them, sending them back to us. So we have surveys. We also are doing public hearings, at least one public hearing for each of the 42 NDAs. In some cases, we're doing second hearings if we get too light of a turnout in the first hearing. So we will have finished that by sometime in July. We are also doing key stakeholder interviews with members of community boards, elected officials, and other representatives of the community. So it's a huge process, and we are right in the middle of it now. But as I said, it's very important because it actually accounts for 50% of our program dollars annually. The areas that we are going to be funding, the program areas are after-school services for high school youth, after-school services for middle school youth, housing assistance, senior services, literacy. I'm missing one. Oh, immigration services, immigrant services. And we've added one new one. The ones I just named are all ones that we've been funding for many years. But we've added a new one this year, in large part because the state has indicated that it wants to make workforce development a priority. So we've created a new program area, subsidized jobs for disconnected youth. And those are youth ages 16 through 24 who are neither in school nor working. In New York City, we have a crisis, really, of disconnected youth. We have anywhere from 175,000 to 200,000 disconnected youth in our city alone. A lot of them have very few job prospects. And so this is our opportunity to use some CSBG funding to support some subsidized jobs, give some of these youth the kind of job experience they need to go out ultimately and find an unsubsidized job in the regular labor market. So those are basically, that's the NDA process in a nutshell.
Any questions for Suzanne? Comments? Thank you, Suzanne. Any old business? New business?
This is Maurice Reed. During the conversation, there were several references to links and websites. It would be very helpful if we could get a listing of those sent out to the members. As a new member, many of those websites I'm not familiar with.
Will do.
Thank you.
Okay. And as an old member, I'm not familiar with that many of them either. So, any other new business? A motion to adjourn? Okay, very good. Thank you, everyone.